Hello, this is Darren Pulsipher, Chief Solution Architect of Public Sector at Intel, and welcome to Embracing Digital Transformation, where we investigate effective change leveraging people, process, and technology. On today's episode, we're going to talk about new collaborative workspaces with SignalWire. On today's show, we have Sean Heiney, one of the founders of SignalWire. Welcome, Sean.
Hey, Darren. Thanks a lot for having me.
Hey, we talked, when was it? A week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe. You showed me your platform, and I was completely blown away with what you guys are doing with this technology that you guys have been working on for some time. You've been using internally. Tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so right now we're using a tool that's built on a bunch of technology that we've been building over years. We're actually a company that's born out of open source, kind of a derivative of the largest open source software in telecommunications used by, hundreds of thousands of enterprises. About every major product built around telecommunications uses our technology in some aspect. And over the last 3 or 4 years or so, we've been focused on trying to get our technology, which powers, all these other products, in the hands of more people, to try to enable them to build the next generation of, video and voice and real-time communications applications. So we've been doing that. And of course, we developed our own internal tools. The predecessor of this was actually an internal tool that we built for ourselves. We use always-on video, and kind of a different philosophy since we're a distributed company since inception. So we ended up building these tools powered by our technology. And then when COVID hit, our customers started hitting us up for access to it. And so we rapidly productized it. You're using a version that we've built for remote offices called SignalWire Work right now, but we've got a version for live events. And it's really a proof of concept of what our new, elastic communications infrastructure can enable, not only in our stuff, but also in everyone else's products.
You know what I thought was really interesting when we first hopped onto SignalWire the first time we talked was you mentioned your organization has been a remote organization. You don't have a headquarters. You guys have been working this way for 3 years. So you've learned better ways of communicating, where the rest of the world, we're still figuring this out. You guys have been doing it for years already.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that is it's not purely technology innovation. It's a lot of social experiments. Because we're a 60 plus person company that's in a number of countries, a number of continents. And then, we're a rapidly paced growing Silicon Valley startup. So, we absolutely needed kind of a modern set of tools, and, existing remote collaboration stuff just doesn't cut it for that kind of environment. So we used our tech, which we were already using for always on audio. A lot of people use Meet Me lines in audio conferences, for years, but, we kind of, before the video stuff, this is how our engineers worked, with shared Unix screens and always on audio conferences. And that evolved into always on video. And here we are with SignalWire.
So you mentioned it's technology and also some cultural shifts. What were some of those first things when you guys first got kicked off? What were some of the bumps in the road on the cultural shift that you had to make to be a truly collaborative, remote, distributed team?
Right. Well, one of the ways that I hit on, we work differently than a lot of companies, especially remote companies, is always on video, and that sounds scary and weird.
Oh yeah, that sounds really scary. I can't even get people to turn on their Teams camera on scheduled meetings.
Yeah, I mean, it is a philosophy. You got to subscribe to it, but once you subscribe to it, you really find yourself hard to believe it, almost more efficient than sitting in the same physical office in some aspects, and the net gain of the inefficiencies that you lose in a world like Zoom or something, where you're only talking in scheduled meetings with a specific agenda. And you really lose a lot of that communication that happens, informally in an office. And it's not like that doesn't have benefit. It has a lot of benefit. And so we've built tools to kind of recapture elements of that, like being able to see inside people's rooms, like if in a physical world, if they had a glass wall and you could see your coworkers as you walk by, you could see if they're in a bad mood, maybe you could see if they're talking to someone else, you could probably get an impression of how busy they are. These are all informal things that aren't explicitly communicated to you, but you gain that when you're in the physical office, and all this stuff adds up. And I think a lot of this, people are having problems with not only the lack of, social interaction, but just the lack of inefficiency of working remote and scheduled meetings and, teams turning your camera on once in a while. It just doesn't emulate anything like sitting in the same room with someone.
No, I totally agree. Now, obviously, when you guys first did this, it must have been very uncomfortable having that video on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, it was weird. Like even our engineers worked like this before I did, and they have to because of their rapid pace of development. It's literally one engineer watches the other one code, and one's debugging while the other one's coding, and it's just some of the way we develop it just requires that. But for me, it was a change of mindset. When I log into SignalWire work, it's like walking into the office. It's like the old world where I was walking into the physical office. And once you think about it that way, it changes your mindset. And we have features that assure privacy. You could like you can fog out your video so people can't see your face or know you're present, or you can go in a heads down mode where people can't interrupt you, but they still know you're present and they can knock on your virtual door.
On your virtual door, yeah.
And when I say virtual door, like none of this is like animated doors or pictures of. This is just people, I don't know if people can see this, but it's clean. It makes sense. It's video based. It's not some goofy animated world that you're trying to.
Right?
Do.
No, yeah. We're not all wearing VR headsets, right?
Right. Oh, I've even seen I've seen some other products, and I don't know if people are into this, but they'll show a conference table with like really kind of nasty animated chairs, and your little avatar kind of floats around this 2D floor plan, and it's like I don't think anyone wants to work like that.
No. It's an interesting concept, and one thing that just caught my mind too is you said it's like going to the office. So one of the biggest problems that a lot of my customers are having is they don't know when their workday ends.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'll get to that later. I'll go have dinner with the family and then come back on. But with this video on, this is really interesting because you can say my video on, I'm in the office from 9 to 5.
Yeah, that's
At
a good
5,
point.
I turn it off. That's interesting.
That's a good point. I mean, when I'm working a lot of hours in a startup, but when I log off the video, it is a clean break for my day. And although I'm on Slack and email, it's hard to completely shut your world off these days. But it is a clean break psychologically, and I know that now I'm spending time with my family. Now I'm doing something else that's not work primarily. And people know, like if I'm sitting here, you saw one of my executives pop in the early part of this call. If people see me in my room, they know they can pop in and ask me questions, even if I'm doing something else or talking to someone.
So let's talk a little bit about the technology, the underlying technology, because that's what you guys really sell is the underlying technology and support that, right? This just happens to be something that you guys were very proactive. And when COVID hit, you said, wait just a second, there's something here that our customers could really take advantage of. So let's talk about the technology.
Yeah, and this is almost a reference design because we're talking about, we really do have bleeding edge kind of best tech in the space and enable stuff that people haven't done before in other applications. So we had to show people, some of the stuff that was possible, like having 100 people in the audience where you can actually hear all their audio sanely, and the performing artists can actually feed off that energy. Like this stuff just wasn't possible with any other platform. So we had to show people how to use it. But you're absolutely right. Like we are an arms dealer foremost. We've made the tech that powers everything from like the Ring doorbell to pieces of Amazon Connect, and Netflix's customer service engine is powered by us, and just about every major telco. We've built all that over the years, and we've been focused on enabling that tech to get in hands of normal folks.
Well, and I think that's something extremely valuable because you're opening up new ways of using video and audio that people haven't thought of before, like this platform SignalWire work.
Yeah, we can't wait to see what people build off of our platform. We already have, there's whole companies that started on our platform that are highly successful. So we're under so many NDAs, but there's a virtual parish or virtual church application that's actually the most popular virtual church platform in the world, and that was built on SignalWire like a year ago. And
Wow, that's amazing.
kind of took off with COVID because no one could go into their parishes. So there's just companies like that, small startups that we hope we can enable, and so they grow with us as they share our vision.
Oh, that's awesome. So let's get into some details around the technology if you can. What makes you guys unique compared to the way that, other video conferencing technologies are using?
Yeah, if you want to double click on the video stuff, one thing that's unique, that gives us a strategic advantage here, is that we do our muxing of video in the cloud, or kind of centrally, where a traditional video conference application will encode and transmit their video to every participant in a video conference. So if I'm talking to 7 people, I'm sending out 6 streams or 7 streams, and I'm receiving 6 or 7 streams. And you can imagine, that's work on the processor to encode that stuff. It's work on your device to transmit the data. You're subject to, jitter and packet loss on all those individual streams. And so you may have a great connection to someone, but the other person looks horrible. I experienced that with Facebook Messenger a lot. Our technology actually muxes all that in the cloud. So the clients send one feed to the cloud, and the cloud takes everyone's feed, muxes it together, and then sends that one feed back out to everyone. So there's only one transmit and receive. And what that means is a couple things: better battery life, lower data consumption, lower amount of work on your local device's processor because it's not encoding so much video. And then just from a user experience, we can do things like make people's audio great when it's muxed together, or control the layouts so everyone sees the same thing, and we can basically have a video production level run of show, and change where people are viewed, and we keep orientation. That's kind of something that adds to the intimacy of our experience, is everyone sees the same thing. And so when I point at something on the screen, everyone sees me pointing.
That's a big problem. I actually teach a religion class every morning. And I've got, 14, 15-year-old kids, and we're on Zoom now, and they're all over the place. So I say, hey, can you can't point to them and say, knock it off, or, it's all different. So that's pretty enlightening there, just alone, right?
Yeah, like I said, all this stuff adds up to what nets to a much more connected feeling experience. And then, when you add that to the always on stuff, and the use case that we've given an example of, it definitely feels different. But, someone can take this tech and, and build a modern communication application, basically the stuff they're dreaming up. So one of our clients is, a large Silicon Valley Series A funded startup that primarily focuses on exercise media, I guess you'd call it, like actually hosted exercise sessions. Like I'm probably missing the terminology from the industry, but essentially they have these gymnasts, exercise folks that show people how to do workouts and stuff, and that's live. And stuff like Peloton is a kind of a similar model, and they're building this as a syndicated platform all on SignalWire. And with our platform, we're uniquely enabling them to actually play music and hear the host at the same time. Like, try to do that on another platform. Good
You
luck.
can't. Yeah.
Yeah, or like actually hear the people while they're riding their bicycles and talk to the host while music's playing in the background, and be able to see 30 people in a layout. All stuff that's been enabled on our platform. And, these guys don't have other options. There's no other choice that kind of enables that level of product experience right now.
Now, another thing that you mentioned with your platform, you guys have made it so it can run on any of the cloud offerings that are out there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So uniquely in the SignalWire cloud, it's a term thrown out on there called meta cloud, or we're kind of in every public cloud where it makes sense. So we've got some customers in Bahrain, and so Azure is the only data center in Bahrain. But we're in Google Cloud, we're in AWS. We have bare metal nodes. We actually can run on like you said, pretty much any cloud or platform, down to an individual handset, or an Atom-based device, or that's why Samsung is an investor. Samsung was really interested in ended up getting our technology on their handsets someday. So theoretically, they could communicate without a centralized infrastructure.
Very, very interesting. So this means I could actually use this on my own infrastructure. I don't have to host it through you guys.
That's right. It's something we offer to kind of our customers that are interested in security and controlling their data at the highest level. One of the problems with most of the platforms out there is that it sends your communication out to the cloud. And if you're a federal government, or pharmaceutical company, or a healthcare institution where your data is very sensitive, you probably don't want that traversing the public internet. You probably don't want your video conversations traversing the public internet. So in those situations, we actually can deploy our nodes inside the secured network. So you're keeping all of your media on your own trusted network. And so we're pretty popular with, like I said, government clients, and healthcare is taking off. We're actually our tech is in every VA hospital, or will be in the next couple of years.
So this really lends itself well to secure communication, more real-time interaction, like with telemedicine, maybe. I mean, I can think of a myriad of other use cases where, because if you've noticed, there's no latency that we're feeling here, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty high quality, and the other thing is as a use case, we have full control of this. So like I've got us cranked at 720 at 20 frames. This is something you can't do with other platforms. I can crank us all the way up to 1080 at 60 frames a second. Or if we both had 4K cameras, which I don't think either of us do,
No.
and we had a 50, 100 megabit upstream, we could enable 4K. So yeah, it's all fully flexible with the tech. So depending on your application, I can't mention their name, but a major broadcast production studio is using us to edit and produce one of their broadcast shows, and they end up bringing in their extras to record voice over their existing recordings, because they can just do that in real time at high quality.
Okay, so let's say that I'm a mid-tier company. Everyone's working remote now. What would some advice that you give someone to make their workers more effective using your technology? What are some tips that you would give us?
Well, I mean, we start off. We have a few clients that are very large organizations. One of our clients that signed in December is a 35,000 person.
Oh, that's big. Yeah.
Conglomerate. And so we're dealing with that right now with a number of these large clients. And again, they're dealing with the same sort of psychological issues that probably every company is dealing with. How do I work efficiently? How do I manage these remote workers? So what we did is we took a sample group, we took a pilot group, and we said, let's get this group to sign on board. Let's have them embrace, and let's have them roll it out. And the key to using our tech is actually, if you actually jump in, you see very quickly the benefit of it. But it's really just taking the first step. And we walk people through it, but I think it starts with a company policy. At the top, you're going to decide, look, we're going to try this and we're going to treat this like the office. And when you come into work, you come into video. If you don't want to show your face right now, that's fine. Turn your video off or whatever, but come into the office and be present and interact with your coworkers, just like you did prior to COVID. When you went into the office prior to COVID, you probably put on your nice, a decent pair of pants, and you probably wore a decent shirt, and you probably didn't, dress like a bum. Today's world in audio and video, that's your microphone. That's your lighting. That's your audio setup. It is how you give an impression to other people. So, what I'm encouraging people to, and I think if you talk to SignalWire employees, you'll see like a lot of people have really good mics. They have good audio setups. They've made their environment very high quality. So when they interact with other people, it's like they're putting on good clothes. They're putting on a good face. They're putting on their best impression.
Very interesting.
But they're using tech to do that now because this is tech world now.
Yeah. Very interesting. Because there's nothing worse than a tin canny, sound where it sounds like someone's in a theater, right?
Right. I mean, you're using a headset and microphone, but yeah, a lot of people talk to you from a giant room that's echoing, or background noise is a big problem. We have some AI-based background noise removal that's pretty good. But yeah, having a quiet environment, having a dedicated work environment, I think this is stuff people are figuring out. No, you can't, sit in the kitchen, while dinner's being made and actually expect to have a professional conversation with one of your coworkers. It's just, you have to treat it like the office.
Yeah, no, I actually really like that philosophy quite a bit, because we have seen a decrease in professionalism, for no better word, because everyone's working from home.
Yeah, I was reading an article about how attorneys are all calling into the court from the beach in their bathing suits and stuff, and the judges are getting quite upset. It's like, look,
my next door neighbor is a judge. He's told me some horror stories.
Oh, right. It's like,
Yeah.
It's still the real world, folks. Like,
your client's in jail and you're in Hawaii on the beach. There's something wrong here.
Right, making $500 an hour.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, hey, Sean, this is wonderful stuff. Is there any of the technology you want to show us on the show today?
I think we can include some links or something. Your
Okay.
listeners, the best way to experience this is actually to use it, as I'm sure you can appreciate. And any of your listeners, we can give 30-day trials without giving us credit cards or billing information or anything like that. So if they just want to check it out for a month, and then I mean, I know you work a lot with government. We have a government division that's working with their high security customers as well for deploying.
That's great, because this is a major issue for those guys, especially.
I was just reading a story about how despite all the security problems, federal government just spent in the double-digit millions on one of our competitors. So it's an interesting time. I think they need some better choices.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, very cool. Thanks a lot, Sean, for coming on today. And for more information, you guys check out SignalWire.com. Is that correct?
Yep, SignalWire.com. Thanks a lot, Darren, for having me. It's a super interesting conversation.
Thanks for listening to Embracing Digital Transformation today. If you liked our episode, go ahead and give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast or video streaming site. You can also find out more on embracingdigital.com. Until next time, keep moving forward and do something wonderful.